Ladies and gentlemen, what a time to be alive, isn't it? It's a Sunday evening here, just a little after 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and many of us congregate here today for a special day. A special day out of every single Legends College basketball season that we all can't wait for, no matter how good our favorite teams are, no matter where we are in the world, no matter what's going on in our lives. This is just a special, special day, a special hour-long festivity here that we graciously call Selection Sunday. And I am privileged to be able to bring this to you guys once again for the 16th time in Legends College basketball history. And this one excites me the most. Although I did say that about last year's tournament, I think this one has a little more pizzazz to it. I think a bit more unknown to it, especially with how the season has gone. It has set us up for an unforgettable March Madness. Welcome everybody to the stream. Glad to see everybody here. Get active in the chat. We are reading everything and we will respond as necessary. Glad to be here today. I am not alone though. Of course, I am Commissioner Daniel of the league, Daniel Zelikov. Again, super blessed to be here. But like I said, I'm not alone. With me today, I've got the fellas here. I know it only says Kenneth Pike here of Pike Sports, but also we have, I would say, now retired March Madness media account owner, Mr. Killian himself. Boys, I'm glad to be with you here today on this let's just call it this way, another historic day. What are your initial thoughts as we sit here ready to find out who's in and where they're placed?
Well, I mean, this has been such a long season for college basketball. I mean, many upsets we have seen. We've seen the big teams go down, but one of the big things, though, partner, I want to say is that for the second season in a row, we have no undefeated teams.
Yeah. Second straight season in a row, and not just that, I'll add to it real quick. Last year we had a few teams, or a couple of teams with only one loss. Everybody's got at least a couple of losses. So I think that we've evolved past that point. But
Absolutely.
But Killian, while we have you here as well, you've also been tracking, and not just tracking, but just being with the all of the action that has gone on this year. I mean, just how exciting is it now that we're here?
Yeah, I was in the committee room. It was a lot of chaos and, a lot of talk were about those number one seats because a lot of stuff happened with those conference tournaments. So that's going to be the big talk with going into the selection show.
Yeah, indeed. We do have a lot to talk about, especially with who could be the number one overall seeds in this, how do I say this best? In this brand new tournament format that we are still trying to get used to. I know it's only our second season doing this, but still an 80-team format here. I still think is, how do I say it? People are still trying to take it in and get used to it, especially with how in real life it's expanded to 76. Well, can't say Legends didn't have it first, right? And so all I can say is that, unlike the NCAA, we actually do things the right way. And I'm excited to just overall get into this bracket. And like I said, everybody, thank you for showing up. To you two beside me, thank you for being here on this day. Anything you'd like to say before we begin reviewing the bracket?
Well, one thing for sure is that, of course, this conference tournaments that we were just talking about, I mean, you just said how unpredictable these tournaments were. The number one seeds of the biggest six, I would say the Power Six, none of them won. None of the one seeds won. So this is going to be such a huge understanding of where these teams might go, and we might have some unpredictable one seeds here and maybe some unpredictable two seeds. depending on who won all the conference tournaments and everything. But we'll see how this goes on. I would say, Killian, what do you think as well?
It's going to be interesting to see, with the Big East being the top dog of all conferences, to see how many teams they get in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's not waste any more time. I think we are all ready to begin seeing how this all unfolded. And man, I'm excited. I'm excited. We're all excited. Let's jump into this thing as we get to start with the West region. That is where the number 1 overall seed play host. And it is the Creighton Blue Jays, despite losing the Big East Championship to Marquette in a nail-biter. They finished 31-2, won the Big East regular season title. Boys, what do we think?
Well, mostly, I think the committee really had to come sense to this. I mean, you either have to pick Marquette or Creighton between the two, of course. Marquette did win the entire Big East tournament. But here's the thing. The resumes really made it a difference between these two teams. Yes, Marquette has the better win over Creighton, and of course the championship over Creighton. But Creighton's resume really played factor into their decision of being the 1 seed here in this year's March Madness.
Any quick thoughts on this one, Killian?
I was in that room. Creighton was just really the favorite for this spot. I mean, they were a really dominant team throughout the whole season. So, I mean, it was just the obvious decision for Creighton to be here, the number 1 seed.
Maybe less obvious than maybe you two make it out to be, because I think, a couple other teams could have had that, that spot. And there was a very real discussion, but how things played out, per sources, that is where they landed on. But let's take a look at who else is in the West region, and we start with that 16-seed play-in. It's going to be between Denver and Northwestern State. The Pioneers, 17-15, Summit League champions. Northwestern State making a return once again, with the worst record in the entire tournament, 14-18, winning the Southland Conference. I don't know how they managed to do it. Moving down to the 8 and 9 line, we got the Volunteers of Tennessee, 22-9 from the SEC, a rather strong 22-9, and they are going to have to face who they saw in the preseason showcase, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, at 29-3. Of course, the most 50-50 matchup that I believe is on here, but we will see how this bracket unfolds besides these two. But any quick thoughts about this rematch from the preseason?
Honestly, I mean, there's no better way you can put it. Tennessee, of course, a former national champion here in the video game era of this league, but of course Gonzaga, who in previous years has shown to be a really tough competitor in March Madness, but here in a first round match between former champ and top tier contender, this is going to be a heck of an 8-9 seed match.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it was explosive during the preseason. I can only imagine how it'll go this time around. Now, to the 5 and 12 line, we've got the Florida Gators at 25-6, with Logan Laza taking over in the early part of the season. They seem to pick up some steam, gain some momentum, and did rather well in the SEC. But they have to go up against 27-5 Samford, SoCon champs. These Bulldogs are different. That's all I can say about that. To the 4 and 13 line, the Mountaineers of West Virginia, last year's 2 seed that had their hearts broken by 15 seed Bucknell. They're trying to avoid the same fate, not to a 15 seed, but to a 13 seed, which is Texas Southern, 28-4, the SWAC conference champs. And with this upper quadrant filled out for the West region, what do we think real quick?
I mean, so far, this is a really balanced in between it's for the conferences and everything, and I think this is just a good way of showing that the playing in your conference and being a top contender in your conference is definitely a huge gimme. So for West Virginia to be a 4 seed, I absolutely agree with it, and I think they're gonna have a really good game with Texas Southern. But again, this 5-4 between Florida and West Virginia is gonna be really competitive if both teams make it to the round of 32.
Indeed, that would be an interesting 4 versus 5 matchup if we got it. Killian, what do you think so far of what we see here?
Yeah, that 4 and 5 seed, it's just good basketball there. It's just gonna be interesting to see what Mays can finally figure out for this team to get out of the first round after getting bounced last year. So, that team's got to play with a lot of fire this season to, make a run, and then it's just gonna be an interesting battle if we get those two in the round of 32.
Indeed. I think West Virginia had an easier path last year as a 2 seed, but what ifs? That's what we can think of only. What if they beat Bucknell? Anywho, moving on down to the lower quadrant, that 6-11 line. We start off with the Washington Huskies at 25-6, semifinalists in the Pac-12 tournament, and they have some pretty impressive wins to their name. But they're gonna have to go up against either Virginia or St. John's. Virginia finishing 22-9 from the ACC. St. John's going 19-12 in the Big East, in that loaded Big East. That 3-14 line, though, is what's next, and we have the Hoosiers of Indiana at 26-5. Truly a magical season for Richard Cale and his squad. I don't think anybody expected them to be as good as they've been, and they deservedly get that 3 seed. They're going to have to face Delaware, a 24-8 Blue Hen squad that won the Colonial this year. Now to the 7-10 line. The UCLA Bruins, the Pac-12 regular season champs and runner-ups in the tournament at 24-8. Truly surprising everybody when they were able to take both tiebreakers between themselves and Oregon, and then also Washington respectively. They're going to have to face either BYU or Wake Forest. BYU, the complete runner-up in the West Coast Conference, behind that 9 seed above us right there. And then you got Wake Forest with McQueen back in the fold. Not the team that they were before when they made that Elite 8 run, but they surely found a way to make things work with those 2 freshmen that they got over the offseason. And then the 2-15 line. Notre Dame at 29-3 is your first 2 seed. An incredible season that they had. ACC regular season champs falling just short to Duke in the ACC tournament championship game. They're going to have to face the Big Sky champs Montana at 23-8. The Grizz are back for the first time in a long time. And fellas, as we take a look at the entire picture of the West region, what are your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, the first things first is that I just want to talk about Indiana first, because I know I brought this up during my media days of the regular season, and I want to reflect on that first. Indiana really showed me that they are going to be a top-tier team heading into this season for the Big Ten, and they proved it here of being the 3 seed in the West region. So well done by Cale to have this squad be ready, be prepped for this tough conference of the Big Ten. And so them being a 3 seed and going against Delaware, I think it's going to be really fun. Killian, do you have anything other than me to say something about this?
I like that 6-11 game right there. Virginia was talked about a lot with either being a playing game or, being an auto bid. But, I like Virginia to win that game. And I think Virginia and Washington game is going to be really good for that seed.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't count out St. John's. I think they have a lot of talent. I think the injury to Eric Reeves, their starting point guard, definitely affected their play in the Big East. Maybe they could have won an extra game or two if it wasn't for him going down with the broken wrist but he's back, and we'll see what they're capable of. But to add on to what you were saying about Indiana, Pike, at one point they were first in the Big Ten, especially after Michigan suffered their first loss of the season at Michigan State. And so we had a brief moment where Indiana could have been the regular season champs of the Big Ten. How special that would have been, but either way, it's still an incredible season that they've had so far. But at this point, I think we're ready to see who is up next as the number 2 overall seed. And we are going to the Midwest region as that next one. And some might say that we got these all flipped up. No. This is how it indeed is. Your Big Ten, Lord have mercy, Big East Tournament champs, the Marquette Golden Eagles, are your Midwest Region 1 seed and your number 2 overall seed in the entire tournament. 30-2 overall, 11-2 in Big East play over the regular season, and of course they got that big win over Creighton at the very, very end. What are your thoughts on the Golden Eagles, lads?
Well, I mean, this Marquette team really showed off that they can still compete as a top-tier team, especially as a 1 seed heading to the Big East tournament, and they did the job done. They got the job done against Creighton in the championship game, but the biggest kicker, though, was the fact that the resume just wasn't good enough to overcome Creighton in terms of 1 seeds when it came to, well, positioning. However, them being the second best 1 seed, I feel like is the best position for this Marquette team. And a couple seasons ago, I know they were the second best 1 seed from, I don't remember who was the 1 seed that year, but this team knows how to win national championships. This team knows how to go far in the tournaments. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Zala does for this Marquette Golden Eagles team, especially in this one region that they can call home now for their time here at March Madness.
I'll just add on to it real quick. I don't know if it was last year because they were actually the last. They were the last number 1 seed last year. So maybe it was a different time before. I just can't quite remember. But Killian, what are your thoughts on the Big East tournament champs?
Yeah, I really think this is a big win for this Marquette team to get the Midwest region because, it's going to be like a homecoming for them. So they're going to have a lot of fans in their stadiums that they're going to play, and Marquette winning that Big East tournament was really big for them to get this spot.
Oh, for sure. Although I will say, per sources, Creighton actually had the choice of whether to get the Midwest region or the West region, and they chose the West because that's where they were last year, and they're comfortable playing in that environment. Actually, by the way, the venues have not changed in terms of the rounds, the first and the second weekend. They're all the same venues from last year, so they're comfortable in that setting, and so Marquette easily scooped up the Midwest region. But let's take a look at who else is with the Golden Eagles. That 16th seed play-in features Little Rock versus Ohio. The Little Rock Trojans are back, OVC champs once more, but the surprise is the Ohio Bobcats from the MAC making it here instead of Toledo. Toledo went undefeated in MAC regular season play, yet failed to win even their first MAC tournament game, and that opened up a route for the Ohio Bobcats to sneak in there. The 8-9 line, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and if we get this game between them and Iowa, that's a rematch from a couple of seasons ago when those two met in the Final Four. Iowa 22-9, though. They dealt with an injury to Donovan Klingman and also Chewy Akbar earlier in the season, 22-9. But they're better than that. Just a fate of hand there, unfortunately, derailed them a bit. They'll have to go up against the Mountain West champs, New Mexico, at 29-4. An incredibly strong team. After we thought Pitt would retire at last season's end, he says, nope, I got one more in me. Built up another very good team for Mountain West standards, and is in this position once again to maybe try and play spoiler for 2 teams here, if you really think about it. But what do we think about Iowa and New Mexico?
Oh, I mean, Iowa, this is a good Big Ten team. They've always been historically a really good competitive Big Ten team, and so them being at the 8th seed, I can see why. Okay, 22-9, good resume, good power. This team has a good roster as well, so I'm very happy for this Iowa team to even be in the tournament. And really good job by the coach to get this team back to where it needs to be inside the tournament. And we'll see if they can go on a little bit more deeper run than they had in the previous years. For New Mexico, though, really job well done by the coach to win the Mountain West. A huge competitive tournament there between them, Boise State, Utah State, and San Diego State. But again, them coming out on top in the mid-major. Job well done by the coach for New Mexico and get themselves back in the tournament as an auto bid.
Indeed. We'll just continue on here with the 5-12 line. The Oklahoma Sooners are your 5 seed here in this region at 23-8. Their highest seeding since the 2032 tournament, where they made it to the Sweet 16. Again, just a stellar resume. You can look past the record and understand why the Sooners have been given this highest seeding. But is it a curse? Because they're going to have to go through arguably the best mid-major team going into this tournament, the Siena Saints, 28-4, the MAAC champs, undisputed champs. Do not sleep on the Saints. We'll talk about them a little bit more probably once all of this is revealed. The 4-13 line, we got the Auburn Tigers, the SEC tournament champs at 29-4. Frost, how do I say this best? He relinquished his coaching duties in the early part of the offseason and then took him back near the late stages of the offseason. And even though they couldn't outright win the SEC again, they won the tournament. And now they're going to have to face a dangerous 27-5 UNC Asheville squad that won the Big South, went undefeated in that conference. Nobody could stop them. Fellas, the top quadrant of this region, what do we think?
I mean, it is a really competitive region here in the top quadrant, like you said. Auburn being, 3-time back-to-back SEC champs. Coach Frost knows how to put the squad together. They've always been a really competitive team. They may have not been the highest seed that they were in the previous seasons, but them being a 4th seed against UNC Asheville, I mean, it's a really job well done. Especially another job well done for Coach Killian over there in Oklahoma. Absolutely putting together a good squad of the old and the young, but a really competitive team heading into this. But like you said, Siena really going to be a tough challenge for this Oklahoma squad.
I think this will be the one opportunity for you to speak about your favorite team, your childhood team, and the one ultimately that you do coach and lead. This is without a doubt your best season yet in terms of what you've been able to accomplish, and the seeding shows it. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty great. I'm excited for this matchup. Our highest seed yet with me being here. I'm just ready to go. I know these players are ready to go, and I think this is going to be a light out type of game. Balls are going to be flying, shots are going to be made. It's going to be a fun game.
Absolutely. Let's now take a look at who's in the lower quadrant. The 6th seed of this region are the Houston Cougars, 31-2. Once again, back-to-back American champs. Nobody can stop them. They're an unstoppable force in that conference, and they're going to have to go up against either Colorado from the Pac-12 or Ole Miss of the SEC. Colorado 18-13, but a rather decent resume for a team of that record. And then Ole Miss going into this thing at, I believe, a 21-10 record from the SEC. The 3-14 line here features the Michigan State Spartans at 26-5, with what many or even more than many consider one of the best wins of the entire year when they took down Michigan during rivalry week. They're going to have to go up against the Boston Terriers from the Patriot League at 24-8. No Bucknell this time around, but we'll see what Boston can bring from this league that actually has produced quite quite good performances in past tournaments. The 7-10 line. The North Carolina Tar Heels at 25-8, a completely brand new looking Tar Heels team led by Coach Smith, completely revamped. The youth movement is flying at this point, and they had a rather good season, and some might say they've surpassed expectations. The 10th seed, it'll be either San Diego State or Cincinnati. San Diego State, one of the weirder teams a part of this tournament because they only have 3 losses to their name. They're 29-3, but they played a bunch of nobodies, and this is not me dunking on the program. It's just the truth. That's why they were seeded so low. Cincinnati, though, kind of the same thing. A few more losses than them, but don't get it twisted. I think both of these teams are still dangerous, especially at that spot. And then the 2 versus 15 line. We got the Kansas State Wildcats at 27-5. Your Big 12 tournament champs. Pugsley finally got one. He finally got himself a trophy within the Big 12 conference. You love to see it. It is a day of celebration for the Kansas State faithful that haven't, haven't gotten to experience that much success since, well, a few years back when they made the Final Four. And they're going to have to go up against the Oakland, is it Grizzlies, Bears, whatever they are, from the Horizon League at 22-9. Don't sleep on them. We've seen time and time again in real life and in Legends. They always pose a threat no matter where they're seated. Fellas, the Midwest region picture is now fully set. What are your thoughts?
Well, partner, I just want to tell you this right now. This is a quite bit of irony here. But Cincinnati in the same position as they were in last season's tournament. Yes, Cincinnati was a 7th seed last year, but partner, they're in the exact same area in that big bracket with being a 10th seed here, even though it is a play-in. But another thing I want to just point out real quick, Oakland is known as the Golden Grizzlies.
Thank you.
And another thing I just want to bring up is that 5-4 Oakland-Auburn. What a match that could be for a round of 32 game. But of course, 2 opponents that they have to get through, Siena, UNC Asheville, and I apologize for misspelling Siena, just because that's my graphical error. 2 big underdog teams that can really upset this entire bracket. I mean, there's no question this is going to be possibly one of the most unpredictable sides of the entire 80-team bracket here.
There's definitely massive chaos potential within the matchups that we do see. Do you see it the same way, Killian?
You know, I don't see it. I see a lot of blue bloods with LSL wise on this side of the region. I think there's just a lot of dominance on this side, so I don't really see a lot of upsets in this region. But anything could happen. This is March Madness, so I don't know.
Yeah, no one ever knows. This is the mystique of March Madness. College basketball is going to do what college basketball does. I don't even know how to call it. It's just chaos. It's madness. Pun intended, maybe. But I won't let you decide that for me. Anywho, yeah, in my thoughts on this region, simply put, star-studded. From the 1 seed down to maybe even the 16th seed, because Little Rock was here last year. They're gonna have they have some guys that were a part of last year's tournament team, and they're back in the fold. I'm interested to see how they do. But Siena and UNC Asheville, that's eye candy to someone like me who's trying to find the upsets to pick in this tournament, and it might be them. But we're just gonna have to see who else is in this tournament and where they're placed. But I'm about ready to now go down to the bottom right of this overall bracket. Specifically, it's the East region that we are now looking at. Hail, hail to Michigan. I know it doesn't hit the same because they lost the Big Ten championship game to Wisconsin, but still 31-2 overall. Big Ten regular season champs are arguably Provo's best team yet. What do we think of the Maize and Blue?
Well, put it short, partner, this is exactly where they were last season. The exact same spot in the big bracket. But this Michigan team has been really, really good throughout the entire season. They are, of course, on this little redemption arc they've had from the 2 previous seasons of finishing runner-up in the national championship. Provo trying to make that curse go away and get the big one here this season.
Some say this is his best team yet, and that could mean that this is his best chance to, but it all depends on the matchups that we see ahead. But what do we think of Michigan being here, Killian? Especially, I'm asking you because you've had some really, really, really harsh words for them in preseason.
It's all gas for this Michigan team. I mean, back-to-back national championships loss. It's all gas. You can't keep taking this. I mean, as a Michigan fan, you can't keep taking this. It's just, when is the boot gonna happen, or when is it time for just to move on? It's all gas for this Michigan team. They have to do this now. It has to be done.
Okay, fair enough. I understand it. Coming up a short 2 seasons in a row, and seemingly it could happen again 3 years in a row is definitely painful. But to play devil's advocate here real quick, I would rather say that about it in the national championship stage than I would in the round of 64 phase, like a lot of teams get to experience. So I'd rather be almost there instead of nowhere close. But anyways, let's take a look at who else is in the East region. That 16-seed play-in features Fairleigh Dickinson in Hawaii. Fairleigh Dickinson, oh boy, do you believe it, 20-12. NEC champs, and then you got Hawaii, seemingly the darlings of the college basketball world over the past few years with their multiple appearances, and they find a way back in at 19-13. How do I say it? They sneak out with the Big West Tournament Championship to their name. The 8-9 line here, we got the Arizona Wildcats at 25-7. This was a rather strong team this year. They just suffered a bit more bumps down the road than they would have liked to, and overall, resume-wise, just didn't compare with some of the other teams that shared their record. But the 9 seed that they're going to have to play, it is going to be either Missouri or Memphis. The Tigers, the Missouri Tigers, that is, 24-8, coming from the SEC. They were 6 seed last year, not as good of a resume this time around. But Memphis, they're a seed up and a seed higher. And we remember the damage that they did last year, making it from the 10-seed play-in spot to the Sweet 16 and almost beating the eventual national champs in that round. Fellas, let's talk specifically about this 9-seed matchup just real quick. Quick thoughts. Go.
Real quick, Arizona, this team has really shown that they can be a competitive team, especially in the Pac-12. It's really impressive for them to be in this tournament, especially in the number 8 position. So, really job well done by the coach, especially in his first year. Missouri, Memphis, Missouri. This Missouri team looks so impressive through the entire season, but again, just not enough to be a higher seed than 9. But really, really job well done. Of course, Memphis being part of the American had to go through a little bit of a bump there with the force fighting Houston and Cincinnati. But them being a 9th seed, honestly, I'd take it, especially since it's going to be a competitive game against this Missouri team.
Oh, it's about to be one of the best games of the entire Survival 16. That's my prediction for at least this very specific section of the tournament. But let's keep on going down. That 5-12 line, it features LSU, the SEC regular season champs, at 26-6. Look at what happens when you get a little NIL boost, huh? The Tigers, with their prestige, were able to convince their donors and their faithful to raise up some cash. Let's get competitive in the SEC again. Got some important players over the offseason, and they found a way to win the SEC regular season title. Almost got the tournament title as well. Fell to Auburn in that game. And they're going to have to face either Iowa State or Maryland. Iowa State barely making it in at 17 and 14, coming from the Big 12, an extremely strong conference that how do I say it, didn't treat them fairly, but they were able to sneak in. Maryland, on the other hand, same position at 19 and 12, just not as good of a team as they had last year. That 7-seed team that almost found their way to the Sweet 16, but again, Bucknell took them down. The 4 versus 13 line here, you got the Xavier Musketeers at 25 and 7, the defending national champs. Had a pretty solid year. I wouldn't say as good of a year as they had last year for sure, but still a very competitive team that they field, a completely different look as well. So whatever you saw from them last year, don't compare it to this one. At the very least, that's what I can say about them. They're going to have to face Coppin State at 27 and 5, a much improved Coppin State team. They're back, but they are, math-wise, they're 3 seeds, 4 seeds higher, something like that, because they were a 16 seed play-in last year. Now they're firmly in the field. Fellas, what do we think so far of this upper quadrant?
Well, I'll tell you what, that Sweet 16 game would be something if it were to happen. Pure revenge game that could happen between Michigan and Xavier. But of course, this Xavier team, of course, not the same as they were last year. But there's no question that this team can still be competitive, despite having 7 losses. This is still a good Xavier team. Still a great coach. Hopefully, doesn't take more kneecaps than he did last season. But Coppin State, proud of them for improving from last season.
True.
Good job, well done.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of it, the funny you bring it up. I think we just had someone raid our booth. Somebody hand him a mic. Y'all want to hand him a mic?
We have a choice.
We got an extra mic here. Where is it? I think we got it synced up. What's up, Coach?
Have I been queued?
You have been queued. What's up, man?
Hey, so I just want to tell the tournament committee that you got to watch your kneecaps. This team was at least a 3 seed. I ain't gonna lie, there's gonna be some serious accusations going on. I promise you, I have absolutely nothing to do with it for legal purposes. But specifically, Killian, I hope both your kneecaps get broken as you walk across the street. I hope an SUV going 93 miles per hour, running a red light, hits your grandma. I am so sick of this committee. It is disgusting. It is egregious. There is absolutely no justification. LSU's about to catch so many Musketeer hands that the only thing that they remember is that they ain't even a tiger, they're just a house cat. And not even one of those vicious house cats. We're talking like one of those lame, like, what do they call those things? Like those gray and black ones that everybody has and nobody likes because they're all dicks. Like that's the type of thing that's going to happen to LSU. And then we're going to go on to Arizona because they're going to beat Michigan because they're sorry and can't make it out of anything and they're pathetic. And if they ever played us, they'd lose again anyway. So it doesn't even matter what happens. Xavier to the national championship 2 times in a row. Committee's going to regret it.
Lord, this can't be as bad as Price's committee selection. I did not do this.
Oh my god.
Lord have mercy on my soul.
Okay, well, that was something.
Wow.
Yeah, so was Notre Dame losing to the 15 seed. That'll be something too. I'm so sick of the disrespect. We win a national championship. We're 25 and 7, and these losers, these absolute losers, put Kansas State at a 2 seed. I don't care who they beat. If they're in the Big 12, if they're in the Big 10, if they're in the SEC, they're not better than Xavier. This whole thing is a scam.
He's gonna be livid. He's gonna be livid for the next region. He's gonna be.
Ay. We'll talk more about why Xavier was put at a 4 seed later on, and I know this guy won't give a damn, but we'll still talk about it. And
Oh, by the way, Luke Skywalker right now running 6,000 suicides consecutively. I'm so sick of him. Guy's been a bum. Disgusting.
you're making
Pick up the performance, Lou.
Alright.
You wish you were the chosen one.
Yeah, so I'll take that over on the hour stream. I'll take that over.
Coppin State, by the way, Add 4 and 13 together, 413. That's how many points you're losing by. Your coach is going to lose both his kneecaps on his way to the arena, and they're going to have their assistant. But their assistant is even going to get there because he's going to slip on some Gatorade. I have the water boy drop, and he's going to break his back, and they're going to be stuck with the assistant of the assistant coach, which is probably going to be Mike Boynton because he got fired from Michigan 6 years ago. So I'm just tired of it, man.
Bro.
I'm tired of it.
Bro.
Oh my god.
All
I'll
right.
take you.
All right. Security. Security. All right.
By the way, that's all jokes for legal purposes. I don't actually mean any of that. And if it does happen, it's purely coincidental.
Oh. Okay. All right. All right.
All right.
Well, we're gonna have
Do
to.
I play in Norman?
The East
please.
region. No. You'll be playing in the carrier.
Okay.
Dome.
All right, that's good. Thank God.
Okay. You can stop your bitching now. Anyways. All right. Moving on down to the bottom quadrant.
You can't even beat Marquette. Get up out of here, kid.
I beat. No. It's a split. It's a 1-1 split. What are you talking about?
Where's your trophy? Where's your trophy, kid?
I got one. I got the Big East regular season trophy, kid.
Oh, that ain't a thing, and everybody knows it. Regular season means nothing.
Oh, but where's yours? You ain't got none. You got neither.
I got a national championship from last year, sitting heavy. First year on the roster. It's how many years you been at Creighton, big dog? How many years?
This is now the 4th year.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
No, be quiet, buddy. Be quiet. Be quiet, man. We'll settle this in the ring. Anyways.
We have lost all control.
Lord.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anywho,
Regain
I'm playing to catch. I have a court meeting with Singham's lawyers. We're seeing if he gets another year of eligibility. I'll see y'all later.
Before you go, you're gonna have to face him if you see LSU because he's playing for them.
Oh, I know. We're gonna rip him off the rosters. We got an NIL deal going. It's gonna be disgusting.
Okay, good luck with that. Anyways,
But if he does play, I'm getting 6 blocks on him.
you're getting
Personally.
6 blocks on him.
Personally.
5'8", you're getting 6 blocks on him.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I might catch a flagrant 2 if I see Singham on the court. Not gonna lie. Can't. As a matter of fact, cancel the meeting.
Brother, I'm gonna give you a flagrant 3 foul. I know it doesn't exist, but it'll exist for you.
I mean, that'll be still more flagrant 3 fouls for me than national championships you have with Creighton.
Don't matter. That's actually a good thing. Anyways, moving on down to the 6 and 11 line. Okay, we got to go back here. Here we go. The Louisville Cardinals. Oh, look at that at 24-7, making it at the 6th seed line. Semifinalists once again in the ACC. A little bit of a stronger year for the Cardinals. My mind is still on the whole Will the Wolf feature. Lord have mercy. But I guess that's because of Louisville as well. I mean, if you look at it right now, that's a potential matchup in the Elite Eight. Again. Anywho, who will they have to play? It'll either be Arizona State or Penn State. Arizona State finishing 18-13 in the Pac-12. Also got a little NIL boost. We're able to field a much better team compared to last couple years. Have found a way back into the tournament. Penn State, a little bit of a fall from grace compared to last year where they made the Elite Eight as a 4 seed. But they still have some very talented players, especially the front court. Could do some damage. 3-14 line here. You got the Villanova Wildcats at 24-6. Cotton in a second year. And with arguably a younger roster, has done better compared to last year. I mean, some of the wins that they've gotten, especially over Marquette, have put them here at the seed line. Great season by them so far. At the 14 line, they gotta face the Princeton Tigers. At 25-6, we saw how dangerous this team was last year at the 16 line. It seems like they're even more dangerous now, this time around. And we know Villanova's history with 14 seeds from the Ivy League. Anyways, the 7-10 line here. We got the Buckeyes of Ohio State at 23-8. A much better season for Ederson and the Buckeyes this time around. Finished 5th in the Big Ten. And it wasn't just the Swanson Bohannon show this time around. He had a lot of help from Jimbo Buchanan, the center. an incredibly strong front court that hopefully gets the extra juice they need with Nathan Pike now being back from a broken foot injury that sidelined him for the better part of 2 months. They're going to have to face either UConn or Baylor. UConn at 21-10. A much younger roster compared to last year, somewhat similar to North Carolina if you look at it with their youth movement. And then Baylor, kind of the same deal, just a complete turning of the page for both teams, and it'll be interesting to see who goes on to face the Buckeyes. And then the 2 seed is Duke, 29-3, your ACC tournament champions. The Blue Devils, with arguably the best front court in the entire country, some might say, did great work, and this is their highest seeding since the 2032 tournament, where they made it all the way to the national championship game. And at the 15 seed line, they'll face Austin Peay, the ASUN champs, at 23-9. The Governors got a tall task ahead of them if they want to make some magic happen. Now, I know we got a little bit delayed there by the appearance of Witherwolf, but I'd like to now divert our attention back to the overall picture of the East region, and what are our first thoughts about it?
Well, I mean, you have three Big East teams here of Xavier, Villanova, and UConn. So really goes to show that this Big East, the whole Big East, is just amazing by itself. But then, partner, put your eyes on one thing, and I see it very, very clearly: a possible Elite Eight match. Michigan Duke.
Woof!
That by itself is a storyline for the making. Two of the could Michigan be considered as a blue? Well, yeah, they're definitely blue bloods in LSL.
Oh yeah.
But Michigan Duke, 2 blue bloods here in college basketball. I mean, what better way could you have an Elite Eight match than those two? But another one you got to see really, really closely is the Villanova Princeton. Yes, this Villanova team is really good, but Princeton is a huge underdog. Yes, they're an Ivy League school. Most people don't even pay attention to the Ivy League. But Princeton is a team you have to make sure you play at your best at. Because if you don't, you'll slip up, and definitely Princeton will find a way to win that game.
I was going to say, I mean, I mentioned the whole Villanova having bad history against 14 seed Ivy League teams. I'm specifically mentioning the time when Brown upset them a few seasons back.
Yep.
Brown. Can't forget that game. Cannot forget that game. But Killian, what do you see from this? What is your initial thought on these?
I think this is the first region with the first major upset. I see one of those 12 seeds, one of those teams upsetting LSU. And
Really?
then I like the potential matchup with Ohio State and possibly UConn. You know, both young teams, both great coaches, to either face off with Duke or Austin Peay. It's just both young teams, but then also I think Iowa State or Maryland is going to upset LSU.
It's a bold take. Fair enough.
Very bold take. I also just want to just throw this in real quick. If UConn were to beat Baylor, we would technically have a Pike versus Pike game. Ohio State has Nathan Pike at the center, and you have Coach Michael Pike at UConn.
Very true. That could definitely play out to be that round of 64 game in which that's the case. I'll definitely be seated for it. Anyways, let's move on to the very last region, and by this point, we all know what it is. It is the South region, but the question is, who got that last 1 seed? There was 100%, how do I say it, a debate about this spot. But time to reveal who got it. You are seeing this correct. The Providence Friars get the last number 1 seed, and that makes it 3 Big East teams being 1 seeds. An absolutely historic year for this conference. Probably the best year it has had so far in LSL, and maybe the best one it'll ever have. I don't know how you can top this. 28-3 overall, 10-2 in the Big East, and they slayed some giants along the way. What are our thoughts about the Friars getting this last number 1 seed?
Well, the biggest takeaway throughout all of this is the fact that the main reason why they got a 1 seed isn't because of like, well, the resume. Yes, they had a really great resume, especially the power in the team was really good. Their form was really good as well. But the big takeaway, what it was the consequences of the 1 seeds in each bracket losing. Notre Dame losing knocked them out of being a 1 seed. Oklahoma State losing knocked them out of being a 1 seed. Including UCLA, even though they didn't really have a chance to be a 1 seed, they lost. So all these big teams who could have easily been a 1 seed if they just won their conference championship really paid the price of losing their championship game. Providence, with this good record at 28-3, with a really good resume, and of course the biggest kicker of them all was the fact that they beat a better team than both Oklahoma State and Notre Dame, and that was Creighton.
It's true. It's true. Some might argue that this was the best one of the entire season that they have. Maybe even better than Marquette's win over Creighton in the Big East tournament championship. But what do we think of the Friars, Killian?
Yeah, they were a lot to talk about in the committee. Those big wins that they had over number 1 Creighton, and then they also defeated former national champion Xavier. So those big wins that they had during the season was really talked about, and that's what got them here. Was just those big wins. It was just a lot for them. God.
Well, whatever just happened there, I hope you're good, man. Anyways, let's take a look and see who fills out the rest of the 80-team field. Starting with the 16 line. It'll be either Western Kentucky or Southern Utah facing the Friars. Western Kentucky, the Conference USA champs at 22-10, versus Southern Utah, the WAC champs at 21-11. The 8 line, you got the Cal Golden Bears at 21-9. They're going to have to face Texas or Kentucky. Texas at 22-8, coming from the Big 12, a young team that's built very similarly to Cal, and you could say vice versa. But then you got Kentucky, who was a steady presence in the SEC, didn't really wow anyone, but was steadily consistent at the level that they are seated at. That'll be a fun one between the two now modern-day SEC teams, but within the Legends universe, we all know that Texas is in the Big 12, Kentucky, of course, in the SEC. The 5-12 line. Roll Tide roll. Alabama is here at 25-6. The Crimson Tide, in the early part of the season, didn't have a coach, and then here comes Wes Wells, the national champion from 2031 when he led Oklahoma all the way, takes over, and all of a sudden the Tide got some life to him after missing the tournament last year and just having an overall abysmal season. NIL funding helps a lot, but also a coach like Wells. They're going to have to face either Texas Tech or Northwestern. The Red Raiders at 17-13 are going to have to face the Wildcats at 18-12. Of course, that's Texas Tech coming from the Big 12, Northwestern from the Big 10. So that makes it that the last four ins are from two conferences. Very interesting to note. The 4-13 line, we got the Jayhawks from Kansas at 25-7. Do you smell it in the air? Do you hear voices? I do. I hear those voices from 2031 when we saw this exact matchup go down to around the 32. Do the stars align again? Well, it depends. Kansas is going to have to first get through St. Joseph's, the Atlantic 10 champs at 26-6. Fellas, this South Region Upper Quadrant, a lot of wild cards in it, just based on all the context that I could provide. But what more do you have to say about it?
Well, partner, you can tell already this is a Big 12 stacked top quadrant. Kansas, Texas Tech, Texas. I mean, 3 slots filled in by that conference goes to show that this is going to be a huge matchup if they can get by. But of course, this Alabama team at the 5 seed, I would say, very impressive for this Roll Tide team, especially since previous seasons they haven't really found the success. But here in this tournament, job well done by them. Trying to see where they finished up last season in the tournament. I think they didn't even make the tournament last year.
Alabama didn't even make it last year.
Wow. So we went from not even making the tournament all the way to a 5 seed. What a job well done by the Bama coach. And of course, this Kansas team has always been a top team in the tournament. Of course, last season they were a 5 seed, which, partner, just to refresh your memory, you know which team knocked out Providence last year?
It was them Jayhawks.
It was the Jayhawks in the round of 32. So history could repeat itself if Providence and Kansas meet up in the Sweet 16. But again, a lot has to take it to get there.
Definitely 2 different teams now compared to last year as well. I think that's why there could be some discussion that, how do I say it, that says a different outcome happens this time around. But we'll get to that later. Killian, what are your thoughts on what you see here?
I like that 5-4 matchup that could be possibly happening. You know, that was my first year with being with Alabama, and I had that same matchup. I think it was same seed line too.
It was.
I'm excited for that matchup. You know, I was able to get that win, so I'm hoping to see Alabama do it again.
Fair enough, and I do remember that time. It was quite the electric game when it went down. Now moving on to the lower quadrant here, the 6th seed is Oregon, your Pac-12 tournament champs at 28-5. The Ducks undergoing a whole lot of change, not just roster-wise, but leadership-wise. Sean Franks retired after last year after going to the Elite Eight and falling short to Creighton. And then here comes John Fraser, this new guy on the block in terms of the Legends universe, but very well established outside of it, has come in and has already made a statement by winning the Pac-12 tournament. Ducks will have to face either Rutgers or Boise State. Man, this Rutgers team completely different from last year. They were a 4 seed last year, one of the best teams in the Big Ten. The youth movement is now fully in play, and they've had a lot of bumps along the way, but they found their way in and will get the chance to play against Boise State at 22-9, coming from the Mountain West side of things. And so I'm excited for that game. The 3 versus 14 line features Oklahoma State. They got dropped very considerably so, and I'll get to talk more about them later, at 29-3. This seems like robbery, but we'll get to talk more about it and why this turned out to be. But regardless, regular season champs in the Big 12, the best season that Coach Bowser has had since taking over in Stillwater. They're going to have to face the Trojans of Troy at 26-6, the Sun Belt champions. And I'm excited for this game. I'm excited just to see how it goes down between two of the best teams in this region, and I think Troy is very slept on, but we'll talk more about it. The 7 line features the Seminoles of Florida State at 25-5. They're back. They barely missed the tournament last year. This time around, they field a much better team, featuring Bonzi Upshaw III. Excuse me, I always say the BU instead of BO. It's an easy mistake to make, but regardless, the dude is a stud. Was a 6-man his entire career at North Carolina. Gets his opportunity finally to be the star somewhere back home in Tallahassee, and he makes it count. Florida State has been very good this year, and they may even be underrated. They're going to have to face either Georgetown or Purdue. The Hoyas sitting at 23-8, coming from the Big East side of things, versus Purdue at 20-10 from the Big Ten. Unfortunately for Purdue, they're the only team in this tournament who aren't at full health. Their star point guard Riz Ish tore his Achilles in the middle of Big Ten play and is out for the rest of the year. Unfortunately for them. And then for the last two teams, we got the Big Ten tournament champs, the Wisconsin Badgers, 28-4. The post Jackhammer Badgers squad, and also post Donovan Elias. Those two were definitely staples of their team over the last couple of years, but they got stars still, and they showed out this year as they took down Michigan in the Big Ten tournament final, and they're gonna have to face the Drake Bulldogs from the MVC at 22-10. They find their way back into the tournament after quite a while of being away, after seeing teams like Bradley and Belmont make it in instead of them. They're back. And so before we take a look at this entire bracket, boys, we got the entire South region here. What are our thoughts?
Well, to put it short, partner, there are some teams in here that you would never expect to be here. Or actually, mostly you would look at the teams and like, what are they doing there? I think the biggest talked about thing, partner, is going to be Oklahoma State. This Oklahoma State team was ranked 5th before heading into conference play in a conference tournament, and they're a 3 seed. Most people would try and argue and say, hey, Notre Dame was behind them. What gives? Well, here's the biggest thing. Not only did they lose their conference championship to Kansas State, but when you put Notre Dame and Oklahoma State's resumes next to each other, Notre Dame had the upper hand on Oklahoma State, which is why Oklahoma State is rated as a 3 seed here in this tournament. But I will say, the biggest takeaway, partner, Florida State. What a season for them.
I think they definitely had a good season, but I think with how they were playing, especially in the middle part, they were seemingly unstoppable, but a couple slip-ups near the end, and in my honest opinion, they're underseeded based on performances, but resume-wise and just how everything played out, statistics and everything, and what the committee eventually got to see and compare to others is just why they fell to a 7 seed. But like I said, they're underrated, and we have seen Florida State do very well at the 7 seed line. We have seen it time and time again. It seems like it's their favorite spot, and in a weird way, I sense some hero ball coming from Tallahassee in this tournament. But Killian, what are your thoughts on the South region?
Yeah, this region was the most talked about. I mean, Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, and Providence were the most talked about teams with the committee, to see where those 3 teams line up, with Providence being so dominant, Oklahoma State losing in their Big 12 championship, and then Wisconsin winning the Big Ten. I really thought maybe Wisconsin was going to be respected a little bit more with winning the Big Ten championship and then beating Michigan, because beating Michigan was such a big win for Wisconsin. So ultimately, I thought we were going to see Wisconsin be a 1 seed, but I mean, Providence was just talked about a little bit more and respected more. So, you know, it's looking like Wisconsin's going to play with a chip on their shoulder in this region.
I haven't seen a Wisconsin team ever not play with a chip on their shoulder, unless you talk about the preseason showcase game against Colorado. But you know that doesn't count. So we'll sweep it under the rug for this time being. But I just want to take the opportunity to say that I feel terrible for Oklahoma State, for Pokes faithful. It's terrible because we had basically 9 teams that belonged in the 1 and 2 seed lines, and someone had to be left out. And per the sources, and how things shook out with resumes and strength of schedules, they fell on the wrong side of things, and it hurts, because this is a team that I have always backed as a team that could be a 1 seed, and at the very worst be a 2 seed. But just with how things played out, it was unfortunately hard to argue, and it just so happens to be that they have to pay the price. And if anything, some might say they got screwed the worst, even compared to Wisconsin. So I guess that's where I stand on things. But let's talk about these teams here. Texas Tech, Northwestern, Iowa State, and Maryland were your last 4 in. You can see their records, their conference records as well. And then the first 4 out. Very interesting to note that Temple was the first team to be put in if Maryland somehow slipped out. But simply put, that 22-9 record of theirs means a whole lot of nothing because they had no quad 1, 2, or 3 wins to show for it. Anything you guys would like to point out here?
I think it's just the fact that Temple just did not have a good enough strength of schedule. Yes, 22-9 is impressive, but again, you're playing the American. It's not like you're a top-tier program in a top-tier conference like, say, the Big East, which most people would say, well, you're only playing the lot of Big East teams just because the conference is good. Well, that's exactly the point. The point is, conference power matters. So for Temple to miss out on this tournament, I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is when it comes to a conference power. Butler being a team at 2-11 in conference and being only the second team out is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of crazy to me. But go on.
I should have said, honestly, they're not in specific order, although I should have maybe put it in order. Yeah. I'll say this. I'll put USC and Texas A&M and then Butler. That's how I should have done it, but honestly, I just ran out of time. But USC, was in the tournament conversation for a good part of the season, but then they just kept losing. They kept losing in a conference that wasn't nearly as strong as some of the others, like the Big 10, Big 12, Big East. You could even say the same about the ACC. Heck, even the SEC, even though they also weren't as strong as some years before. So, it's unfortunate for USC and for Ronan, who just got his job back this season. He was away for, I think, a season or 2. But, hey, fresh opportunity to build the Trojans back up in the way he wants to. So, at least there's that to look forward to for USC. But, Killian, what do you think of what you see here? Anything else to add?
Not a lot to say. It just shows that, you can't really out-top the Big 12 and Big 10. Just dominant conference for both or all teams. There's nothing really that Temple could have done. Maybe played a couple good teams, but ultimately, I don't think they could have done anything against those last 4 in teams.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, for sure. And we get to take a look at the multi-bid conferences here. And we've said Big East has been the best conference all year, and I will stick by that. But I think what stands out to me the most is that the second best conference put the most teams in the entire tournament. One more than last year. Big 10 with 11 teams in. Big 12 put in 9 teams again. Big East, 8 teams again. The SEC put in an extra team this year. And same with the ACC. They only put in 6 last year. This time it's 7. But the Pac-12, 1 less team, and that is USC not being involved. The American, 3 teams again. The Mountain West, they had 1 less team. Utah State didn't make it in. And then the West Coast Conference, also 1 less team because St. Mary's fell off the face of the earth. Fellas, what do we think?
Actually, I'll start with you.
It's surprising to see the Big 10 with the most. Ultimately we thought, Big East Power Conference, they should have dominated this, but it shows that there's just a lot more competition with the Big 10, and I just think ultimately it shows that the Big 10 and Big 12 play tougher opponents than the Big East.
I'm going to stop you right there, Cowboy, because the Big East only has 11 teams. I know the Big 12 put in 9 of 10. That's very good percentage-wise, and it shows how deep that conference is. Big 10 has 14 teams. They put in 11 of 14, and so really, if you think about it, pound for pound, Big 12 might have been, I would say, the deepest, but in terms of the overall quality, it's either the Big 10 or the Big East, and that has been the conversation all year long. But what do you think, Pike?
Well, I think the Big East is more arguably the better team when it comes to their entire conference-wise, because, you got a lot of, looking at this, I only see 2 play-in teams for this Big East team. And they did a really good job, though, for this. Speaking of the Big Ten, let's see here. 1 for Penn State. Actually, no, I'll just go down here. Penn State is a play-in team. Northwestern's also a play-in team. Purdue is another play-in team. So easily right there. That just goes to show that, yes, the Big Ten may have more teams in, but the Big East definitely has more of they definitely have a better quality team, especially with the fact that 3 of them are a 1 seed.
That's the part that you cannot take away from the Big East. They have 3 of the 4 1 seeds this year. And fellas, we get to take a look at now the overall picture. It's all drawn up. The paths are set for the road to Hollywood. The yearly tradition of this big, beautiful bracket. Shout out to you, Pike, for making it.
Yep.
What do we, how do I say it? What do we think of how everything played out? Who do you think got the most benefit when it came to the selection process, and who do you think got screwed the worst? I'll start with you, Killian.
I really think Creighton got the benefit with picking where they wanted to be, and then just the teams that they got to face, the path they got to go through. The team that really got screwed, I think it's Providence. I think I don't think they're the strongest number 1 seed. They got a lot of tough challenges to go through. I mean, if they make it all the way to the Elite 8 and Kansas is there, that's going to be a tough battle for them. So those are teams that I'm picking for your question.
I'm going to have to correct you there, because if those teams do face, it's not in the Elite 8, it's in the Sweet 16.
Oh.
And also, technically speaking, yes, Providence is not the best 1 seed. They got the last spot, so not obviously. But with Creighton, I don't know if it's necessarily a benefit, because that's always been tradition, and actually in real life as well, where the teams, based on how they're ranked within that 1 seed group, get to choose what region they get. And so Creighton had the choice to go out west. They could have just stayed in the Midwest. It's closest to them, but they decided to go west again. And so that's the choice that they have to live with if they don't make it out this time around, even though they did it last year. So, but I guess my same question goes to you as well, Pike. What do you think?
Well, okay, in terms of teams I feel like who got screwed the most here, you got to think of Oklahoma State. This team was projected as a 2 seed. They could have easily been maybe in, probably, I would say, where Duke is, or maybe Kansas State is, but them losing the Big 12 championship really hurt them so bad to the point to now they're down here in the bottom left corner of the South region, and as a 3 seed of all things. And now they're going to go against Wisconsin, who won the Big 10. They have Oregon in the second round, who won the Pac-12. And then, if you even make it through, you still got Kansas, you still got Alabama, you still got Cal, who's an underdog, a really good one too. Florida State, who's been consistent, but also inconsistent at the same time. Then you got to deal with Providence, even if you make it all the way to the Elite 8. You got to deal with Providence. This is such a bad place for this Oklahoma State team. They definitely got hurt the most. But for me, the most beneficial team to me, Providence. It's not even a question. This team should have been a 2 seed, but because of the consequences of other teams losing their conference championship games, they benefited from that. They easily got the 1 seed, and now here they are in the South region as the 1 seed. They get to play whatever way they want to, especially with the fact that they can flex with the 16 seed and head into 8-9 into the second round.
Man, definitely a favorable position. In this situation, when it comes to talking about the Friars, I mean, they were projected 1 seed in this position before conference tournament week unfolded, and then on top of that, I mean, when they lost to the Big East tournament champs. Like at that point, I don't know how you can knock them, especially when the others didn't do the job that they were supposed to. Chaos unfolded, like you said. And that's just how some things stay the same when so much chaos happens that you really can't change stuff at the top, especially with how teams are projected. And yeah, I said Oklahoma State got screwed, and I won't add more to it, except that I think that this will fuel them. This is a dang good team. This is Bowser's best team that he has had in his 4 seasons as OK State head coach. I'm expecting to see some of the best basketball that they've played in quite some time. Like, the last time I remember them being this good was the 2031 season when they were a 1 seed. It's just that it's just around that time they actually fell in the round of 32 to 9 seed Duke, who made a Cinderella run to the Final Four. I expect differently now. This is a 1 seed caliber team in my opinion, even though Providence is definitely definitely that themselves. So we'll see how things unfold. And folks, that's the selection show. This was a fun one. Real quick, Final Four predictions, right on the spot. Pike, Final Four prediction, right on the spot. Folks, by the way, by looking at the bracket here, you can interact with us in the chat. Who do you think makes the Final Four? Put it in.
All right. This is who I think is going to make the Final Four. From the West, it's going to be Creighton. I think Creighton is just going to be too good. Yes, I know Notre Dame's there. I'm not going to be... I could be biased, but there's no beating this Creighton team. They're that good. Yes, Marquette did beat them, but I don't know. Something just seems a little bit off about how Notre Dame can play. If they can't beat Duke, there's no way they're beating Creighton. From the Midwest, I'm going to take Kansas State, not Marquette. Most people would say, why not Marquette? They won the Big East. They are super unreliable when it comes to some of the big games. Yes, they won. They beat Creighton. But the one time they did play Creighton through the regular season, they lost. So, yes, this Marquette team is still good, but Kansas State has the momentum coming into this tournament, and I think they're going to carry it all the way to Hollywood. In the East, Michigan. This Michigan team is out for revenge. They are mad over losing the Big Ten. And there's been a few cases in championship games, partner, and we've seen even in real life where a team comes off losing possibly one of the biggest games or even a rival, they come in hot, they come in mad. This Michigan team is going to do both. And heading into Hollywood, they're definitely going to be the team to beat in the East. Then in the South, it's a tough place to... This is going to be such a tough place to pick. But I got the Badgers of Wisconsin. I think finally Richter makes it all the way to Hollywood.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Killian, your Final Four predictions. I gotta hear this.
To pick the opposite. Well, the West region, gotta go with Creighton. But I think who they play in the Elite Eight is Indiana. I think Indiana's a good team. I think they go on a good run to play Creighton in the Elite Eight, but I think Creighton goes to the Final Four. In the Midwest region, I'm going to go with MSU. I'm going to go with Michigan State. I think with Bolt coming back to Michigan State, I think they still got a good squad. I think they can, cook something up. In the East region, I'm going to go with the Duke Blue Devils. I think they're a good team. I think with that ACC championship win, I think they're going to play very hot in that region. I think they can make it all the way. And in the South, well, I wanted to go with Wisconsin, but I think Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State is playing with a lot of anger. I think they have a good squad. I think they will get it done.
Okay. Fair enough. Not bad, not bad. All right, I'll put my own predictions in, but I will first read some comments. What we thinking about Louisville? Well, they got a lot of potential. My concern with them is that maybe the flexibility offensively is just not there compared to last year. But who knows? I might be wrong. But I think there's definitely the ability to make it back to the Elite Eight. I don't know about further, but they're 100% a dangerous team, absolutely. But I'll make my predictions here. And again, this is off the cuff here. I think you get Creighton from the West. I'll keep it simple here. I think we're underestimating Marquette here. Yeah, they lost to Creighton the first time around. It was in Omaha. We can give them a little bit of grace for a loss on the road. So I'm picking Marquette to go through. I like Michigan and Duke in this situation. But I think just based on how they're built, they're just, how do I say this best? They're built to win and win big, especially when it comes down to shots not falling. I think the Michigan Wolverines are just, they're massive, man. The way they're built, this Provo built this team in a very specific way. I think they'll find their way back to the Final Four again. Hard to see it not be it that way. And then I'm going to pick Oklahoma State to make it from the South region. Because again, I've been a believer since day one in their abilities, and I think that even though they got low-key screwed, I think they're still a quality enough team to be able to put that run together and to play like the one seed that they were projected to be in the preseason, and be a team that could very well show that they deserve the two seed, even above Wisconsin, despite Wisconsin's success and achievements, especially recently. So that's what I think. But we're looking here. That's Coach Smith right there. He has Creighton, Marquette, Duke, and OK State in the Final Four. Ode of Louisville says Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Kansas State, Michigan. The complete randomness there, honestly, sort of. And then Julian picked Creighton, Marquette, Michigan, and Kansas. So somewhat of the same tune here. Very interesting to see, but there's definitely a, how do I say it? There seems to be a trend amongst these predictions, and it's a fairly valid one. A lot of ones and twos. It's very hard to see anyone else making it. And it's not to say that these other teams aren't very good. They are. It's just this group of 1 and 2 seeds, and you can even include Oklahoma State in there if you really wanted to. They're just different. They're just so different this year. They're on a different level, and I preached that in the preseason, and I think it has truly come to light for this tournament, especially how it's shaped out to be. But boys, that's the selection show complete. Soon enough, within the next half hour or so, I'll try it actually to make it at 9 p.m. as we hear some thunderous keyboard tapping in the background here. That's what I'll be doing for the next half hour to make sure that we get the bracket challenge up and running. And guess what, boys? If y'all got the Legends College Basketball app, then you don't need to do anything more except wait for my announcement saying that it is officially on. It's about to be a fun time seeing all these brackets filled out, and we're going to have an official group where everyone can enter. And also, just a FYI, you can make up to 10 brackets yourself. Of course, only one of them can be part of the official Legends Sim League group, so keep that in mind. But any final thoughts here as we close the show and truly start gearing up for the start of our road to Hollywood?
I got nothing.
Fair
I'm
enough.
excited.
Yeah, excitement is in the air. What about you, Kelly?
Buckle up and grab popcorn. It's going to be exciting road to Hollywood.
It indeed is. For the first time in quite a while, I think there was one time in the past where the Final Four was in Hollywood, but it was during the mobile era. I'm just trying to remember what year. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's not the first time. But it is definitely the most exciting time, especially because of all the teams that are involved and what is all possible on the table. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing you all fill out your brackets. And if you don't have the Legends College Basketball app yet, what are you doing, you absolute chuds? Find some directions, get it, and let's fill out some brackets together. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday evening, boys. Take care.